Hello, thank you so much for joining with me. We are with day 186 of the Course Companions group, and this day we are reading Cameo 23, The Savage Problem of Personal Rejection. If you would please like to close your eyes and join me in a prayer. Dear God, please enable me to set aside everything I think I know about everything, God, about A Course in Miracles, about you, about myself and my brothers in this world, God. Please allow me to have an open mind and a new experience. Thank you. I love you. Amen. Day 186, Cameo 23, The Savage Problem of Personal Rejection. There is a brief message to Helen in the special messages, the numbering of which corresponds to what is now the end of Chapter 14, Section 7 of the text, The Circle of Atonement. It is dated November 15th, 1966, and reads as follows. Special note for H.S. Helen Schuckman. Bill was right in not regarding this as a separate problem. The savage problem of personal rejection. There is no fear in perfect love. You do not want him to feel guiltless but rejected. This area is the only one in which you want to retain this, but you will not be able to limit it. You will not see his purity until you give up retaliation as a weapon against him or against everyone else. You think these are the only alternatives. Be sure to consider why you want to maintain this position. Bill will help you with this. We don't know the context for this, but apparently Helen is behaving unkindly toward Bill. Bill has said or done something, and in retaliation, Helen is sending him a pointed message of rejection. She wants the message to go in, to pierce his defenses and plant itself in his heart. She wants him to know that he is being rejected because he has sinned. It sounds ugly, and Jesus clearly wants Helen to face the ugliness of it, calling it savage. And there is something else, something even more challenging that Jesus asks her to face. This indeed is the main point of his message, a point that is embedded in nearly every sentence. Helen, he says, wants to carefully limit this ugliness. She wants to build a little pen around this savage beast and say, this savagery is something I do only here and nowhere else. I don't do this to Bill in other areas. In fact, I love Bill, and I certainly don't do this to other people. I have to let my inner beast out to feed somewhere, and it's much safer to let it loose on Bill in response to particular behaviors than to let it run wild in all my relationships. What Jesus wants her to face is that however much she believes she has successfully corralled the beast, she has not and cannot. His opening line speaks of not regarding this as a separate problem. Rather, in this seemingly limited problem of how she treats Bill in certain instances lies the whole problem of personal rejection, which is at the heart of the separation. As he says in Chapter 6, the separation is the notion of rejection. While she hangs on to this beast, no matter how small it looks, she hangs on to separation itself. Therefore, even though Helen has apparently narrowed this sort of retaliation down to this one area, this area is the only one in which you want to retain this. The fact remains that it infects everything, but you will not be able to limit it. The implication is that it taints all of her relationships, and in particular, it makes her unable to really love Bill. After all, she cannot love him and reject him. Only when she has given up this weapon completely will she see his purity. Only then will she truly love him. Perfect love does not tell someone to fear the day that his sins will catch up with him. Helen might quite naturally respond, "Well, if I don't use this sword on Bill, then where will I use it?" Jesus' message amounts to the following question: what is your reason for thinking you have to use it at all? This question is so important that Jesus asks her to reflect on it. Be sure to consider why you want to maintain this position, why she wants to believe that her only choice is to use it on Bill or use it on others. Jesus apparently expects her to find a motive that is so unsightly, so against her conscious ideals, that she will drop the sword as if it were a slimy serpent. This self-reflection, considering why she wants to keep this weapon, is so important that she is supposed to let Bill help her with it. Being on the receiving end of the weapon, he may have special insight into why she is so attached to it. As a result, her search now embodies the very egolessness that is its goal. For now, the very one cut down by her sword has become the therapist who can help her let it go. And now I will read Robert Perry's commentary on this Cameo 23. Cameo 23, The Savage Problem of Personal Rejection. I think we all know the situation in this cameo. You are kind, patient, and mature with everyone else, but you have that one relationship, or even that one area in that one relationship, where you are a whole different person, childish and vindictive. You can choose your own words here. Perhaps you can completely identify with Helen here. She has reserved the right, with Bill alone, to openly retaliate against certain behaviors of his by pointedly rejecting him. You reassure yourself, thinking, "Thank goodness, I'm only like this here." On a more unconscious level, perhaps you are thinking, "This is my release valve. If I don't let off the steam here in this private space, it's going to be leaking out all over the place and fogging up all of my other relationships." Both of these thoughts, however, are wrong according to what Jesus is telling Helen. This area is the only one in which you want to retain this, but you will not be able to limit it. In other words, you are not like this only here. This does leak out and infect all of your relationships. Letting the beast out of his cage in this one area doesn't calm him. It encourages him. It gives him permission, even while in the cage, to reach his claws through and scratch everyone you come in contact with. It's a sobering thought, isn't it? What can you do about it? Maybe the honest thing is to simply let the beast come out across the board. At least you'd be more authentic. But Jesus, of course, goes into the complete opposite direction, and you can see why. You will not be able to limit it. Limit it means that as long as you own this beast, you literally cannot corral him. He has the run of your life. This is why Jesus says that the only solution is to give up retaliation as a weapon against Bill or against everyone else. You've got to take the beast back to the pet store and simply walk away without him. I'll admit it, I still own the beast. I completely relate to Helen here. So I find myself thinking, pause while I fix. What would it mean to give up the beast entirely? Could I pull it off? Don't I need him at times? Wouldn't I just leave myself open to attack? On the other hand, might I not be far more at peace with myself without him? Thank you so much for joining with me. Cameo 23, The Savage Problem of Personal Rejection. I love you. Thank you so much for joining with me.